Hi! So, y'all actually wanted to see the height chart, which makes me so happy because I worked really hard on it and I want to share stories about the background characters even though they mean nothing, but it's okay because I still love them. I want to make this intro pretty short because there's 38 characters I think to get through, and this is going to be a long video if I don't speed this up, but I just wanted to say that this height chart is going in order of rank, and then within that rank, it's going from oldest to youngest. Also, there's a giant time weird thing because I'm placing this as if Atlan is still alive. Spoilers. So he's still going to be labeled Alpha, and Saren is progeny, and blah blah blah. However, the timeline is broken because at the end, I ended up putting Saren and Agra's scars from the last scene in the pilot on their faces. So just ignore that. Ignore the actual right timeline. This is just, it just bothered me that they didn't have their scars, so now they do. Just pretend that it's all fine, okay? So, Atlan, father of 3 and beloved Alpha, is very kind, optimistic, and generous. He was very close with his brothers when he was younger, but after he was chosen to succeed his father, they split. Still, he tried to keep up their relationship. Unfortunately, one of his brothers left the pack out of anger, and shortly after, his other brother died. He felt lost and alone at this point, but around that time, he found comfort in his now mate Betra. They were not perfect together, and in fact, fought a lot. He was ready to end it with her, and went through with it even after finding out Betra was pregnant with his child. Everything changed between them, though, after the mysterious passing of his father, for as he was commenced into power, Atlan announced Betra to be a Zora. Betra, on the other hand, is cold and observant. She and her family have many secrets. Not originally from Billowing Cliff, her and her brother were mostly raised as rogues before joining the pack around their teens. Betra's parents tried to keep her out of trouble, but most of the time their efforts really meant cleaning up after her. Her brother Faye didn't feel the micromanaging of their parents as much as Betra did. He still ended up in power, just as him and his sister were raised to strive for, yet he never felt the pressure to do so. It just kinda ended up like that. And although being the sage isn't an almighty position, his influence is undeniable, or at least its possibility is. Saren is rebellious, yet dedicated to make her father proud. As a pup, she was quite rambunctious and obnoxious, which was arguably her way of getting attention, not exactly from her father, but rather from her mother Betra. She never had a good relationship with her mom, and never really understood why. And although her father filled her with praise, Saren still struggles with feeling inadequate and a disappointment to not only her family but her whole pack. She would never tell you, of course. Instead, Saren keeps those self-doubts, well, to herself. Jenna is the baby of her family, not in a whiny or helpless kind of way, more in a naive or overly sweet kind of way. Jenna is filled with hope and compassion. She is not one to close off others, and if anything, probably gives the benefit of the doubt too much, especially to family members. Still, her big heart is beneficial to the pack, being the sage's trainee and all. Jenna has spent a great deal of her life helping others, so being appointed the next sage was only fitting. That, and it might have helped that her uncle is the current sage. Regardless, she still takes her job with pride and looks forward to being the healer of her pack. Capri is starting off the list of deltas, which are just adult pack members. Think of them like warriors. Capri here is the oldest delta and is just about ready to join his mate Cinny as an elder. However, he isn't mentally ready to accept that. To him, he believes his joints can take a couple more years despite them already aching. His ongoing joint pains don't help his case since much of the pack finds Capri to be irritable and hard to read. Contrary to popular belief, Capri is full of emotion. He just only shows that soft side of him to his family, making any open emotion seem almost sudden to the pack. Distry has always had a softer presence despite his large and threatening appearance. He is the oldest of his half-brothers and also the most neglected. A part of him thinks that the absence of his father, Bumfu, primarily has to do with his parents' ugly breakup. That, and unlike his other half-brothers, his mom is still alive. And although his mother, Zenny, is still around, her influence on his life isn't exactly positive considering his scar. Still, things are not all sad for Distry, as his relationship with Daffodil is almost straight out of a storybook. Love at first sight and all that cheesy garbage. As he's getting up there in age, Distry is eager to have pups of his own, and although he adores his adopted sons Muskery and Allium, him and Daffodil are planning on having their first pups together in the near future. Next, we have Oak and Ebony, both wolves who were previously rogues before joining the pack. Billowing Cliff is known for welcoming any and all rogues with open arms. Well, most of the time. At least under Atlan's rule, the welcome was always warm, which is when Oak and Ebony came into the pack with their daughter Hickory. Their presence is an oddity because, unlike other rogues that have joined Cliff, Oak and Ebony keep to themselves. They're very grateful to be a part of the pack, but during their free time they often stray away from group activities and rather be with each other and practice their own personal traditions. Ander, another son of Bumfu, is a quiet and collected wolf. He doesn't have many friends, but frankly he doesn't feel the need for them. He has a couple wolves that he'd consider acquaintances, but he honestly rather spend his time improving himself for the betterment of the pack. Ander was born with poor vision, and by the end of his training to become a Delta, his sight was almost completely gone. He was scared of disappointing his pack, so he threw himself into overdrive for the remainder of his training. He nearly worked himself to the bone, but by the time he was to be assessed, Ander had mastered hunting and fighting with what little light perception he had left. To this day, he is one of the most reliable hunters in the pack. Daffodil came into Billowing Cliff when she was pregnant with her ex-mate's litter. She didn't know it at the time, but her pregnancy became abundantly clear after a few weeks of being there. She expected to be kicked out over it, but when she wasn't, she returned the pack's kindness with being as involved as she could. She'd offer to work more patrols and overall was just very outgoing and sweet to everyone. She garnered a lot of attention, especially from the males, but she wasn't really interested in seeing anyone. That was until she got to know Distry, in which her bitterness towards relationships suddenly vanished once he was in the picture. Kashua can be a nervous wreck a lot of the time. He thinks of himself in a pretty negative light. He doesn't feel like he has a true role in the pack, and it's especially hard when both his younger sisters are reminders of what he could have been. He's happy for them, of course, but he feels left out. With his father and uncle preoccupied with raising his sisters, he was left to his mother's sourness. And although her words hurt, he ended up clinging to her, desperate to prove his worth as her son. His mate Agra and him seem to be happy together. Both feel they can let down their guards with each other, but her eagerness to get Betra's approval only worsens his own insecurities. Still, they're looking forward to their future, as they are expecting pups, which should hopefully cheer Kashua up. Fall and Spawn are Bumfu's youngest litter. Fall is a natural leader, while his brother Spawn is more of a supportive follower. They have a tight brotherly bond, with Fall being more into it than Spawn. Fall is outspoken and loyal to all his friends. He'd definitely be the one to get into a fight if it meant defending his friend's honor. He's very much a focus on the present kind of guy, and at the moment, he is infatuated with another white wolf named Unko. Their relationship is on and off, and nobody around them can really tell whether they're actually together. Still, Fall is happy with whatever time he gets with Unko, even if it means having to deal with her protective father who wants nothing to do with him. Spawn is also dealing with relationship issues, or at least he was. He would consider it more of a fling, but Esot does not. Right after Spawn kind of ghosted Esot, it turned out she was pregnant with his pups. When Esot tried to reach out, he stated he wasn't ready to be a father and begged her to keep his identity a secret. Of course, the encounter ended sourly, and shortly after, Esot gave birth to A and Condi. Spawn doesn't know if she's told anyone that he's the father, and that uncertainty keeps him up at night. Galav is a ladies' man. He's overly flirtatious despite settling down with his mate Misan. You think he would have mellowed out after becoming a father, but his ego has yet to plateau. Galav is a great father though. When he's not boasting about himself, he's boasting about his daughter. He can't help but feel so proud of his little girl. It also helps that she's kind of a spinning image of him. Contra is Galav's sister. She didn't get her family's ego like her brother, but she's still got a healthy amount of confidence. She isn't afraid to speak her mind, but it isn't uncommon for her words to seem a little hypocritical. Still, her intentions are good, it's just that her execution needs a little work. Tern struggles a lot with feeling like an outsider, but claims she got over it. She is very pessimistic, especially after her experience with Galav. Tern thought they were going steady, so she was shocked to find out Misan was giving birth to his pup. To make matters worse, she was pregnant with his pups as well. Instead of telling him though, she decided to leave her pups in the forest after they were born, hoping they would be adopted by another pack. And although she absolutely despised Galliv for lying to her, she didn't want to be labeled as a homewrecker and hoped to spare Misan from any hurt that would come from the truth. Misan is Galliv's mate. She loves him, or at least she tells herself she does. She'd be lying if she said she wasn't suspicious of him. She knows he has a history of jumping from girl to girl and is very much aware that him in turn had a thing for each other. She doesn't know the details, but she wouldn't be surprised to find out things went farther than Galliv had told her. She uses their daughter Ferv to distract herself though. Right now she'd rather focus on dedicating her time to be the best mother she can than arguing with Galliv. Plus, he's still sweet to her. It's hard to deny that he has charm. Agra is ambitious. She grew up with 3 sisters all from the same litter, so she felt the need to stand out all throughout her life. She wants to make her pack, and more importantly her family, proud. Her and her sisters don't have a super tight bond, but her and her father are very close. She would do anything to make him happy. After her father said he believed she could be one of the best deltas, she made it a goal to make his beliefs a reality. Esat is one of Agra's sisters. Unlike Agra, she never felt like she needed to impress anyone. She wants to be good for herself. Well, herself and her pups A and Condi. Her family isn't very helpful when it comes to her pups, aside from her sister Magnan, who's the pack's caretaker. Spawn abandoning her doesn't help either, but she's getting through it. Hayes is pretty happy-go-lucky compared to her sisters. She has her loud and goofy moments, but for the most part she's pretty well-spoken. She spends most of her time with her best friend Tern, who she believes to be sweet and compassionate, and hopes that one day others will see that too. Unko can come off as off-putting or hard to approach. She's not scary, but her father can be. Once you get to know her, she's a great listener and can give good advice. Her friend group consists of Contra, Nuck, Spawn, and of course Fall, her on and off boyfriend that her father does not approve of. She doesn't care though. She thinks if it's meant to be, it'll work out. Nuck, Unko's brother, is a soft-spoken tough guy. He doesn't use his strength to hurt others, only to occasionally rough someone up. But aside from his physical attributes, Nuck is pretty mature for his age. He always has been, though after he became a father, his sense of responsibility drastically increased. His son Psyche is the oldest trainee. Psyche is still learning where he stands in the pack. He doesn't know where he came from, and his father hasn't told the pack nor him about his origin. He questions who his mother is, or even if Nuck is his biological father. He looks up to his father, but feels like he has big shoes to fill, and hopes that learning where he came from can help set him on the right path. Hickory is calm and collected. She joined Billowing Cliff with her parents when she was pretty young, but she still remembers life prior to joining. She's not sure which one she prefers. She loves the culture and upbringings from her old pack, but at the same time she thinks Billowing Cliff's differences are refreshing. She's a little more open to change than her parents, but she respects their wishes to preserve their old traditions. Ferv is full of passion. With every new task, she gives it her full force, leaving her family very proud, and her fellow trainees with hot competition. Her work ethic is intense for her age, but the pack looks forward to what she'll bring in the future. Muskery and Alium are the youngest trainees, and are the sons of Daffodil. They were born in Billowing Cliff, so they don't quite understand where their mom came from. She shared stories to them about how she was raised, but they never went into too much detail. It doesn't bother them, though. These 2 boys are perfectly happy being the wild and playful pups they are, but perhaps as they age and mature, their mom will share more with them. Magnan is super forgiving and caring, which is why she's the pack's caretaker, which is essentially the primary guardian of the pups. Once a pup is weaned, they spend a majority of the day being raised by the caretaker, which allows the parents to return to their duties. There's no denying that Magnan is the perfect fit for this role, but she does wish sometimes that she had some help. A and Condi are just about ready to become trainees, but they have a little more growing to do. They can get a little too aggressive with each other though, so the pack is eager to get them away from the younger pups. But overall, A and Condi are sweet boys that just have a lot of energy. Timmy is one of Tern's abandoned pups. His siblings didn't survive the harsh conditions, but he made it long enough to be found by a patrolling wolf, which was not exactly Tern's idea. She was hoping another pack would find them. Nobody knows his origin, so it'll be hard to explain that once he has questions. Of course, since his arrival, Tern has been especially on edge as she fears her pack will make a connection between the two of them. Photo is another pup that was found by himself in the forest. He was estimated to be about a month old due to his small size, but he's actually pretty close to Timmy's age. His small stature isn't because he's a runt, he's actually half dog. But the pack doesn't know this, of course. If they did, he wouldn't have been taken in. It's surprising nobody has put it together, but only time will tell. Bumfu is the oldest wolf in the pack, and it's a shock that he's still alive. He has a lot of sons, 6 to be exact, but 2 died fairly young, one to sickness and another to injury. He isn't the best dad. Often he prioritizes himself over having a good relationship with his kids. Still, Bumfu always has something positive to say. His old age hasn't made him cranky like most of the other elders. Zenny is definitely one of those colder elders. She's not rude, just serious and reserved. She doesn't have a lot of energy as her body has taken many blows throughout her life. On the contrary, Zenny still has enough energy to be sour towards her ex-mate Bumfu. It's debatable if she ever got over him, and unfortunately she takes out her pent-up emotions out on her son Distry. Kodge is an old grump. He's a proud father of his 4 daughters, but he's pretty cranky towards everyone else. Luckily, his daughters visit him quite often, and Agra in particular keeps his mood light. Asin is frankly quite ignorant. Like his son Galav, he was quite the flirt when he was younger. The years, however, haven't treated him very kindly, as he's aged pretty bad, and it's no surprise that his son will face a similar fate in the next couple of years. Cinny is arguably too young to be an elder, but after a bad accident with a human trap, she had to retire early. This event definitely shaped her mind to have a more cynical outlook on the world. With that said, she wants to be thankful for every day she gets, but it's manifested in a fear of dying. Because of that, she pressures her kids to have their own pups so she can be a grandmother before passing away. But her daughter Unko has only become more resistant towards settling down, which is probably the reason her own relationship with Fall is out of whack. That's everyone! The whole pack! I hope you enjoyed getting to know the background characters that don't really speak and they're just there. This was pretty fun to record. It did take a long time though. I'm not quite sure what my next chat paints are gonna be about, so I'll probably have polls within the next couple of days to see what you guys want to see. To see what you guys want to see. Yep, that's a good sentence. Anyways, I gotta go because I cannot speak anymore. That was a long recording. Yeah, have a great day. Bye.